He's happy playing for the Blackhawks and is glad the stress he found in Toronto is behind him.
I don't think there's as much pressure as there was in Toronto, being as far as the media in Toronto. Like, I mean, hockey was the biggest thing there, and all the media focused on the hockey there, and it was kind of a lot of tension and a lot of stuff in the air that you couldn't really deal with a lot of the times. But here, there's no real pressures from the media, and I like that, and I feel a lot, more calm out there.
I think he'll fit in very well. Steve Thomas is an overachiever. He came out of nowhere. He wasn't supposed to make the Maple Leafs. They couldn't keep him off the team because of his work ethic and his desire to play. We've sort of charted his progress over the last couple seasons, and we've been very pleased with it. And when the opportunity came to get a hold of him, we jumped at it. Steve Thomas was a key player in that deal, and we think he's going to be a Blackhawk and a very important member of the Blackhawks for a number of years.
Thomas has wasted no time in Chicago. He's even begun to throw his weight around. He misses his girlfriend and family back in Canada, though, but is determined to stay and make his mark with the Blackhawks.
So it's finally all come together for Steve Thomas. He's got his contract problems put behind him, and he's playing for a team that he likes. Next on the agenda, he's going to find a house and turn this windy city into a home. Teresa Herger, TSN, Chicago.
Pumped up for this one. The Chicago Stadium crowd cheered all the way through the national anthems, but was quieted shortly thereafter. Maple Leafs put on a good show, faltered a bit lately, but won the game. Chicago opens the scoring early in this one. Power play, two-man advantage. They move the puck around nicely before Dwayne Sutter, one of the new guys, puts it in on his rebound, and it's 1-0 for the Hawks. Some sloppy work in the Hawks zone cost Chicago right here. Mark Osborne will pick up the puck. Oh, my, look at that. Early season hockey. Past Bob Mason, who wasn't too great tonight, and it's 1-1. Actually played a lot like Perry Mason. Leafs take the lead later in the first period. They keep the puck at their blue line. Dandu picks up the loose puck. Oh, my, look at this. He's got a puck magnet, just fires it past Mason. Later in the period, Wendell Clark is going to be robbed by the aforementioned Mason. Look at that nice little glove work there. Then Ben Wilson goes into Clark, and yeah, this is the return of Ben Wilson. They got some lumberjacks in that blue line, but Wendell atones for himself very nicely here. Not quite as big a fight as you might imagine. I'm sure they'll get to that later in this series. Yeah. Chicago ties it in the power play late in the opening period. Steve Thomas feeds Doug Wilson, who gets a couple of whacks at it. Number 27 there is Rick Vive. And it was 2-2 at that point. The Leafs put the burners on here. They'll won it by a score of 7-5. Dandu got 2. Mark Osborne doubled. Tom Fergus, Miro Freacher singled. So did Todd Gill for Chicago. One of the ex-Leafs got a goal, but it was Gary Nyland. Bob Murray singled. Brian Noonan with his first NHL career goal for the Hawks. Dwayne Sutter and Doug Wilson. 7-5. Buds win the opener. How about other action now? Detroit and Calgary.
Blackhawks, Pang making only his second NHL start. He gave up 6 goals, 3 to Lachlan. Gardner scored 2 and assisted on 2 of Lachlan's. Rick Vive had 2 goals in a losing cause for the Chicago Blackhawks. Let's take a look at all the scores now at the Forum. He's 0 on the season. Chicago losing to Washington 6-4. Chicago now 0-2. They've given up 13 goals in their 2 games. Gardner with 2 goals, 2 assists, and Craig Lachlan, the former Canadian, with the hat trick. The Islanders at Vancouver.
Al Secord is endearing himself to Toronto fans. Former Leaf Rick Vive is doing the same for fans in Chicago. Flyers threaten early. Mark Howe on the breakaway, and he fans on the shot. Blackhawks on the power play next, and Mike LaForge is in the net for the Flyers, doing a lousy Ron Hextall imitation. Doug Wilson makes no mistake, and it is 1-0 Chicago. Scott Mellenby ties it up for Philadelphia, but midway through the second, Steve Larmer rifles one home from the bad angle. 2-1 Blackhawks after 2. In the third, Murray Craven comes right back for the Flyers, taking Brian Propp's rebound and slipping it by Bob Mason. Ricky Vive seems to have found a home in the Windy City. Here he gets his 3rd of the year with this flash past LaForge. 3-2 Chicago in the 3rd, and Chicago goes on to win it by a score of 5-3, making head coach Bob Murdoch a happy man.
In Chicago, the key word is new. Bob Murdoch is the new head coach. Rick Vive is the new 50-goal scorer. And Bob Mason is the new goalie in the Chicago Nets. Strangely enough, the Blackhawks had the fewest wins in the division last season, but they still managed to finish third. This season, they have to improve on the league's worst power play, which converted only 17% of its chances. Defensively, Doug Wilson, still strong at the age of 30, and it's time for Gary Nyland to finally assert himself on the Hawks' blue line. Just one constant remains on the Chicago roster, and that's Denny Savard. He'll gun for his 5th 100-point season.
The games between two division rivals are always intense. Here the Hawks get on the board first. Gino Cavallini stripped of the puck by Dennis Savard, who cuts in front, slides it past Millen. Then the Hawks threaten again. Troy Murray deflects this. Ben Wilson point shot past Millen for a 2-0 lead. Hawks' new goalie Bob Mason solid early on for Chicago as Bernie Federko is left all alone in front. But the Blues will not be denied as Rob Ramage buries this Bernie Federko feed. 2-1 Hawks. Now to the second period, score 3-2 Chicago. Rob Ramage's blast is banged home by journeyman Tony McKegney, and the Blues have tied things at 3. Now the Eddie Shore play of the game. Bob McGill and Jocelyn Lemieux. Lots of punches, not a lot landing really though. But McGill is a tough dude. As they go at it, really no winners in this one. In the third period, the Hawks go ahead as Doug Wilson buries his 2nd goal of the night. That's the way things stand. Late in the third, Chicago is leading 4-3.
And we'll move along to see what else happened in the North Division at Chicago Stadium, the Hawks and the Blues. And the Hawks came out flying in this one. Denny Savard against Gino Cavallini, steals the puck from the back of the net, goes in on goal, beats Greg Millen, who didn't have a chance. Cavallini gets hooked, and it's 1-0. Hawks grab a 2-zip lead later as Troy Murray carries over the blue line, drops for Ben Wilson, who has all day, and he lets one go past Millen. 2-0 Chicago. With the score 2-1 Hawks, they'll regain their margin as Everett center pass number 7 zips along, looks for Doug Wilson, who lets one go right through the legs, through the 5-hole on Millen. 3-2 after one period as St. Louis came back. But in the second, the Blues get the only goal as Rob Ramage lets a shot go here that is banged home by Tony McKegney on the rebound, and it's 3-3. Later in the second, a couple of tough guys go at it. That's Jocelyn Lemieux and Bob McGill. And watch these punches go. Lemieux with the upper hand early in this fight, but McGill comes back with some good punches of his own. Can't knock off Lemieux's helmet. Lemieux says, the heck, but I'm going to hit a visor. Take a look at this. This is serious stuff. Anyway, more later on as St. Louis is penalized for too many men on the ice, and Rick Vive feeds Doug Wilson, who blasts it home. And that made it 4-3. The Hawks go on to win it. The final score, 5-3 for Chicago.
Just above ice level. First period now, Hawks in the power play. Steve Larmer spots an open Denny Savard, and he will beat Detroit netminder Greg Steffen. His 5th goal, that is 1-0 for the Hawks. Wings tied up late in the first. Steve Yzerman, nice effort, splits the defense. Upstairs, we're tied at 1. Second period, Hawks take the lead for good. Pressure around the Red Wings net. Wayne Presley left unguarded, and he makes the Red Wings pay for it. That makes it 3-1. Detroit coach Jacques Demers not amused, obviously. Chicago with a big road win in the Motor City, 5-1 over Detroit.
Willie Huber's shot doesn't get through, but look at this. Ulf Dahlin, the rookie, scores his first of 3 on the night, beats Darren Pang, and it's 1-0 for the Rangers. Still in the first, New York carries the play to the Hawks again, and Walt Podubny, number 8, gets a loose puck in front. He scores. And Podubny having another big year for the Strangers. It's 2-0 New York. Then on a New York power play, John Ogrodnik feeds Willie Huber at the point, who waits, and it's tipped home by Marcel Dion. 3-0 for the Rangers. Dion with a big goal there. Still in the first, New York gets another as James Patrick looks for Thomas Sandstrom right up the middle. He's going in on goal. He scores! Top shelf against Darren Pang, 4-0. Final score, Rangers on cruise control won it 7-3. Ulf Dahlin with 3 goals, his first 3 of the year. Walt Podubny, Marcel Dion, Thomas Sandstrom, and John Van Beesbroek. No, Van Beesbroek, of course, didn't score because he's a goaltender. We'll get to that other goal scorer. Chicago got goals from, I couldn't believe I'm mentioning a goalie's name, Brian Noonan, Steve Larmer, and Denny Savard with the goals for the Blackhawks.
The pressure pays off. Everett Sanapas gets the puck at the side of the net, takes 3 cracks at it before he finally beats Liu. 1-0 Chicago. But the Whalers come back. John Anderson gets it back at the point. Bob Mason makes the stop, but Stu Gavin pops in the rebound. That ties the game at 1-1. Later in the second period, with Hartford on the power play, Chicago breaks out on a 2-on-1. Dennis Savard to Steve Larmer, a short-handed goal. 2-1 Chicago. The Whalers tie it again before the end of the period. Watch the nice move by Paul Lawless. His shot beats Mason to make it 2-2 after 2. In the third period, it's all Hartford. Troy Murray's pass is intercepted by Ron Francis. He fakes the pass, fires it in for the Whalers' first lead. It is now 3-2. Moments later, they put it away. Kevin Dineen walks right past Gary Nyland and puts it between Mason's pad. Hartford comes from behind to beat Chicago 5-3.
Tonight, they put the show on the road in Hartford, Connecticut, taking on the Whalers. Chicago's Steve Larmer is where we're going to pick it up, stealing the puck in the Hartford end, and then he passes ahead to Denny Savard on the 2-on-1. And Savard passes back to Larmer beautifully, and this is a shorthanded goal, 2-1 Chicago. Now, Chicago looking to move the puck ahead in the third period, but Hartford's Ron Francis, Johnny on the spot, comes up with a steal. Francis goes in for the unassisted shorthanded goal, and it's 3-2 in favor of the Whalers. Now, less than a minute later, Hartford's Kevin Dineen making a great move. Look at that fake. Then he shoots the puck past Bob Mason for the goal. He ought to get more points than that for that terrific move he put on. 4-2 Hartford there. Final score, 5-3 the Whalers.
Early on, it's Alan Kerr with the shot. Pat LaFontaine cruising in front, pokes it out of the air. He's got good stick control. He beats Mason. It's 1-0 for the Islanders. Denny Savard then picks up the loose puck in the slot. That's Savard coming up right there in the slot, and he tees it up, rips one past Rudy, his 8th of the year. He now has a point in all 10 games. It is now a 2-0 hockey game, but the Islanders take the lead. Then they eventually go up by a score of 3-1 on the Bob Basson goal. But the Hawks come back to tie it, and the Hawks go ahead. Watch Savard with a pass to Steve Larmer. Perfect feed to Larmer. He makes a nice pass and slides it through the legs of Kelly Rudy. Nice shot, actually. 4-3 for the Blackhawks. It looks like the Islanders are going to take the lead. Here, LaFontaine on a breakaway. He's deadly, but look at the save by Bob Mason. He robs him. Meanwhile, Flatley does a good job in the corner, buzzing all around to Brent Sutter, to Richard Comm, who puts it in right there. That tied the hockey game at 4. They go to overtime, and is that one a final? Ron Andrews, our producer, says yes, it is a final. Chicago and the New York Islanders tying at 4.
It's a piece. Buffalo is alone in second. They have 13-3 behind Montreal. The Sabres downing Chicago tonight by a score of 5-3. 5 goals were scored in the first period. Denis Savard set up 2 of them for Chicago. Nice feed right there to Steve Larmer. Ties the game up at 2 apiece. 3 minutes later, Ray Shepherd, a former Cornwall Royal, standing in front of the net, picks up his first goal of the night. He had 2 assists in that first period, as did Pierre Turgeon, 1 goal and 2 assists apiece. In the second period now, Denis Savard with the goal, his 10th of the year, makes it 4-3. Buffalo still on top. In the third, the Sabres put it away. Out in front, Mike Foligno to Phil Housley here. Housley with his 9th goal of the year already.
Open and Smale jams it past Darren Pang. 1-0 in favor of Winnipeg. Still the first, 3-1 Winnipeg. This thing was over early. Thomas Dean taking the puck off the boards, making the nice move inside for the goal. 4-1 Winnipeg. The Jets go on to win it by a final count of 6-3. By the way,
to 5 now. Denis Savard with 2 goals and 2 assists. He's off to his best start ever. Savard has scored at least 1 point in all 15 of Chicago's games today. He has 12 goals and 22 assists. He's second in the scoring race, 4 points behind Wayne Gretzky. In junior play,
play it graphically. They don't have to worry much about Minnesota's power play specialist because the Hawks' power play is the one to watch. Here's the first power play goal. Ben Wilson on the slapper, 1-0 Chicago. Minnesota ties it up later in the first. Gordy Roberts leaving the puck for Brian Bellows. 1-1 is the score. It's tied at 2 in the second period when Wayne Presley scores the Blackhawks' 3rd power play goal of the night, giving them a 3-2 lead, his 6th of the year, by the way. 3 minutes later, Denny Savard scores his 11th of the year, and of course, it's on the power play. Chicago up by a pair. Brian Lawton then cuts the lead to 4-3 when he beats Bob Mason with the man advantage. That is how it ends after a pair of periods. Now, Denny Savard has a big night for the Hawks, and here is his 2nd goal. The spin-a-rama around the defenseman, and then the backhander in behind Don Beaupre. What a goal, what an effort. And then with the Hawks shorthanded, Savard picks up a loose puck and races away for the empty net goal to say fini to the hat trick. Savard ends up with 6 points, and Chicago beats the North Stars 8-5. Of Chicago's last 23 goals, 14 have been in the power play, 5 have been shorthanded, and only 4 on the even strength situation.
Denny Savard had the game of his career Sunday night against the North Stars. Going into the contest, Chicago hadn't won in its last 7. Savard single-handedly stopped the drought against the division rivals with a hat trick that included this Savardian spinorama and 3 assists as the Hawks beat the North Stars 8-5. And speak of the Devils, they shut out the Flyers at the Meadowlands. The career night boosted Savard's season points total to 36, second only to Edmonton Oilers' Wayne Gretzky. Denny Savard of the Chicago Blackhawks, the Dodge NHL Performer of the Week.